Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm absolutely great. I'm so excited to talk to you about one of my favorite things is the music of the 60s and 70s. What a tremendous documentary series this is.
Well, thank you for saying so. It was a labor of love.
There are parts like I was just watching episode 2 again. There are parts that actually make me cry because the music is so um, it integrated into my soul. It's where I grew up.
Yeah, no, when I hear Jackson sing these days, I cry every time. And to think that he was 16 when he wrote it, it's like, whoa.
Were there any surprises for you that you ran across while doing this documentary?
I think the best surprise was that we learned how these artists linked together, and because I was concerned it would feel like an anthology, like going from one artist to the next to the next, but they actually really connected and meaningfully connected with one another, and so we were able then to find a way to flow from one artist to the next.
I think for me, one of the big revealing moments was in episode 1, where Michelle Phillips, talked about the affairs and how they decided to keep the group together, the Mamas and the Papas. I knew some of that, but hearing it from her was a revelation.
Yeah, no, it's a very dramatic story, and she's very honest about the way she tells it, and you can feel that tension that it's palpable when she tells those stories, and you're seeing them singing together, and it's pretty amazing.
This is a love letter to music, and it of course is the evolution from folk singers into rock and roll, because I remember that very, very clearly. One minute we're listening to the Beach Boys, in the late 50s, early 60s, and all of a sudden it's the Byrds, it's the Rolling Stones, the Beatles are coming into their own. What an amazing evolution for music, because it speaks to that generation of protesters.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, everybody getting plugged in.
Yeah, and revisiting the Troubadour is also. I used to hang there. I grew up in LA. You don't know that, but I did, and remember going there as a 16 or 17-year-old guy and listening to some great bands.
Yeah, it was an amazing epicenter for this movement to come, for these artists to find one another and hanging out, and just learning from one another by being there.
Tell me a little bit about the Peter Tork connection here, because he did a lot for the music movement in the 60s.
Yes, he certainly did, and it was strange because the very first day we were shooting with Henry Diltz at his house, or at his archive, and that phone call that he got about Peter Tork dying happened that very first day of shooting. And when that happened, we realized that was a moment that we were going to be able to make as part of the film, because so many people don't realize how intricately the Monkees were involved in that whole scene, because you think of them as a TV made band versus an organic band. Mm-hmm. But they were very much a part of the Laurel Canyon scene, and Peter's place was part of the glue of the scene.
Now, as we kind of wrap up a little bit, with documentary series and documentaries, there's so much left on the cutting room floor. Is there something that is left out of this that you really wish was in the documentary?
Nah, gosh, that's a tough question. I mean, there's other. I mean, obviously, I would have loved to have gotten more into Zappa. That would have been fun. But that's. I think for this series, for what we were trying to do, I think we got the balance right for this one.
Allison, thank you so much for not only talking with me, but for presenting us with these 2 wonderful episodes. This is just so, like I said, heartfelt. And if you're a fan of the music of the 60s and 70s, you're going to love this series. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Tony. Really appreciate it. Be safe.